So I had already given you the orientation. This is anterior, this is posterior, this is superior, and this is inferior. And how you have taken the section of this person, he's seeing in this way, and you have taken sagittal section. I gave you the example of Maharana Pratap, and you will recall. Now if you see in this diagram, तो ये खाली खोपड़ी है, इसमें soft organs कुछ भी नहीं है. So if you see, this half is made up of the frontal bone. Now see, very important and conceptual point. If you see here, see, can you see this? Just go along with me. See this gray bone. Can you see this gray bone? Can you see this gray bone? This gray bone is the ethmoid bone. किसी का mic on है, please mute. So if you see this, are you able to see this? This bone is the ethmoid bone. Now you are getting a very beautiful view. See, this bone is like a wall. It's like a wall. See here. See, can you see this? This is the maxillary bone, green bone. इधर नीचे vomer रहता है, vomer. And here I will put it in yellow. This is the cartilaginous part of your nose. Vomer is in the base here. Okay, and this is the inferior concha. Vomer is in the base. I will use black color. Vomer is in the base. And ऊपर nasal bone है. इधर पीछे कौन सा bone है? Which I have encircled. It's the part of the maxillary bone, which here. And this is the yellow part, is the colored part, is the cartilaginous part. So you see, just the nasal septum is made up so intrinsically. Can you see this? See, this is one bone, this is second bone, this is third bone, and vomer is not mentioned, fourth bone, and along with the yeah, so there are four bones, and this ethmoid bone. So five bones are forming the nasal septum. Can you understand? This is the importance. So once you are oriented with this, when you are learning nasal septum, it's very easy for you. So if you see, now we'll go one by one. Oh, vomer is here. I'm sorry. This is the complete cartilaginous part. I'm extremely sorry. I misguided you. This is the vomer. Okay. It's present here. I did not see the labeling. This is the vomer. This is the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone. And ये आगे का green जो part है, it's the part of the maxillary bone. So, and the inferior nasal concha. So, 5 bones it is making. This इधर का जो आगे का हमारा लंबा नाक रहता है, that is all cartilaginous. Like we don't feel it bony. So the base part is of the bone. So if you see, now I was talking about the calvaria. Yeah, this is the calvaria skull. This is the skull cap. Okay, skull cap or the calvaria. So it is formed of what? Frontal bone, parietal bone, occipital bone. Correct. Now, so you got the orientation, right? This is like this. Yes, it's the curve part. We are seeing this is the right half of the person, and we are looking from left side. Are you understanding? Anterior, posterior. Simple. Now if you see a few details which I want you to know, is that see these few labelings which I am showing. So we discussed about the nasal septum. Okay, this, yeah, this part, but this is the buccal cavity. Now if you see this, there are few cavities what you can see. Can you see this cavity? This cavity. Okay, can you see this cavity? This cavity. Okay, can you, okay, these two we will discuss first. See what is written here, frontal sinus, and what is written here, sphenoidal sinus. Now you need to understand that what is a sinus. This in different lectures I have already explained. Again I will tell you what is a sinus. See, there are three terms: cyst, sinus, and fistula. क्या हुआ, लिख नहीं रहा है. Okay, fistula. Cyst is what? Where it is a it's an enclosed sac completely. Either it is without anything, blank, or with some clear fluid or pus or whatever. that enclosed cavity is called a cyst. When that cyst has just one opening, आने के जाने के लिए only one opening. Now that cyst, when it is having just one opening, it is called as sinus. And when this sinus connects this cavity with the exterior of the body outside the skin, this is the skin what I have drawn, this becomes a fistula, an opening between the internal organ and the external environment, that is a fistula. Now sinus, from the name you can understand that it is a cavity with just one opening. Okay, now how? Okay, how? If you see this, you can just see a cavity here, but it has a nasolacrimal duct, oh sorry, frontonasal duct, which opens here in the nasal, in the lateral wall of nose, lateral wall of nose. And this we have learned when we have discussed about the lateral wall of nose, frontonasal opening. And similarly, this is the sphenoid process. Now if you see the names, very beautiful. I like anatomy. Why? Because it is very simple. Why? Because everything is in names. Now why this is frontal sinus? Because it is in the frontal bone. Now why this is the sphenoid sinus? Because it is in this yellow sphenoid bone. Are you understanding? Sphenoid bone में इसलिए sphenoid sinus. Sinus क्यों है तुमको बताया. And why it is sphenoid, named as sphenoid? Because it is in the sphenoid bone. Similarly, why it is called as the frontal sinus? Because it is in the frontal bone. And what is meant by sinus? With one opening, so it is here. Same is with the sphenoidal sinus, there's an opening in the lateral wall of nose. All these sinuses, there are how many sinuses? Four sinuses, I've already told you. One is frontal sinus, second is sphenoidal sinus, third is ethmoidal sinus, fourth is maxillary sinus. ethmoidal में anterior, middle और posterior ऐसा तीन है. There are three sinuses. Okay, three groups of sinuses. These are what? Paranasal sinuses, out of which two we have seen, frontal and sphenoidal. Why they are called as paranasal sinuses? PNS does not mean only peripheral nervous system. PNS means paranasal sinuses. Now sinus means cavity with one opening, so ye cavity with one opening, so they are called as what? Sinus. This we understood. Why they are called as paranasal? Because they are around the nose. See, दिस इज दी नेजल कैविटी. ये नेजल कैविटी के आजू में बाजू में, ऊपर नीचे पीछे आजू बाजू में, सो इट इज कॉल्ड एज पैरानेजल साइनस. वेरी सिंपल. सो आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस. नाउ कम टू दिस इथमॉइड बोन. मैं बीच में भटक गया. कैन यू सी दिस? जस्ट ट्रेस दिस. आई वाज टेलिंग यू अबाउट इथमॉइड बोन. थोड़ा कंसिडर कर लो. तो इथमॉइड बोन इट्स लाइक अ वॉल. वॉल माने दीवार. WAL wall. How it is like a wall? You are getting a very beautiful orientation कि यहाँ पे नाक का एक साइड का कैविटी है, on the other side you are having the other cavity, right? This is one here and the other one will be this side, because we are viewing what side of the person? Right side of the person. From where? From the left side of the person we are reviewing his right inner half of the skull. So if you see that this is one cavity and on the other side here there will be another cavity which we could be able to see if we see from this other side. So this is like a wall. This is like a wall. दीवार के जैसा है. तो ये दीवार है ऐसा. Just see this way. So if you take a section like this and you view from above, you will see either one line or a thick line like this as per the thickness of the wall. Okay, you will not see the entire wall. Now because you are viewing this wall from side, that is why it is appearing like this, like a wall. But when you take a section like this, how? When you take a section like this, transverse section, and when you view from above, this will appear how? It will appear like this, ऊपर से. This is the anterior part, this will be posterior part. This is left side, this is the right side. Are you understanding? This way it is. So this is the orientation of ethmoid bone. Sphenoid bone we will discuss when we will talk about the transverse section. But before that, about the sphenoid bone, there are a few important points. I will zoom in the diagram for you. Okay. Now can you see? I will use red color. Okay. See, this is the sphenoid bone. Away sphenoid bone. See, this is the cranial cavity, like this, right? This is the foramen magnum. This is the cranial cavity, and this is the base of the cranial cavity, right? So, if you see this, can you see this? What is this? You might have easily understood. This is the sella turcica, where the pituitary gland lies. Sella turcica. Okay, so it lies in the ethmoid bone. Now what you have to understand, when I will talk about the ethmoid, I mean the transfer section, we will again discuss in the next diagram. But before that, you just remember, see, this is your nasal cavity till here, right? This is our nasal cavity. Nasal cavity में इधर sphenoidal air sinus है. Just what you can say, postero superior. This is superior and this is posterior. तो posterior superior side में of the sphenoidal air sinus you have the sella turcica. Okay, and this is the nasal cavity. तो ये nasal cavity का ये कौन है? रूफ है, रूफ छत. And this is the floor. Floor is made up of what? Below you have the palate of the maxillary bone. Roof is made up of which bone? It is the ethmoid bone. Correct? This ethmoid bone, perpendicular plate. Can you see? Ethmoid bone. And I was telling you that there's a elevation, that is this. ये बाहर से glabella and from inside it is crista galli. Do you recall? See, this is the crista galli. Okay, I will use black color. See, this is the, oh, this crista galli is here. Huh? I will erase this. You can see the original structure. Can you see this? This elevation, crista galli. Inside crista galli, outside you have the glabella. Now, if you see, so this was about this. Now, this roof has certain holes. It has certain holes. Okay, foramen. They that complete its structure is called as cribriform plate. You might have heard this. अपनी आटे की चालनी होती है ना, गहू स्वच्छ करण्यासाठी we use a net, not net, you can say sieve, SIEWE, EVE, sieve, चालनी in Marathi you call, and Hindi also you call chalni. So that sieve like structure is there, that is called as cribriform plate, about which you might have heard in your 12th standard also. This cribriform plate, these holes, they allow the branches of the olfactory nerve. That is the first nerve which is responsible for special sensory sensations, So that they go through this, and the olfactory nerve sensory receptors are here, and sensation occurs likewise. So from the cribriform plate, I will show that sieve-like structure in the transverse section. Now, if you see, so one thing you need to recall, that if you have any nasal infection, then from these holes, can you see these dots? Now also you can see these dots. See, can you see these small dots? Either dot, a dot, these gray, dark gray dots. These are those pores, okay, of the cribriform plate. So the point of discussion, or the applied aspect is that this nasal cavity, if you have any infection, may it be the common cold and fever, viral infection, bacterial infection, any infection, it can easily go to the brain or the cranial cavity. Don't say brain, it is the cranial cavity. Now you need to understand that in this cranial cavity, what is present? Brain is present, but it is covered by what? Three layers of the meninges. The three meninges. So if this infection comes in this cranial cavity, it will first have the counter with what? With the meninges, and it results, if the infection is successful in invading the meninges, It is called as meningitis. It could be viral meningitis, it could be bacterial meningitis, or it could be tubercular meningitis, that is of the tubercular bacilli. So you have TB meningitis also. Okay. So this is about the applied aspect. तो हमारे नाक में से infection दिमाग में भी और in the cranial cavity also it can appear, and it can create a lot of problem. Now, so we learned about this, and this about the pituitary fossa. Okay, pituitary fossa, or you can say sella turcica. Just this is the pituitary fossa, and this complete part is called as sella turcica. There are small parts. What is this called? What is this called? We will see in the transverse diagram. So hope you have understood. This is your eustachian tube. Sorry, your external auditory meatus opening, ear opening of the ear. Okay, now this bones, you have the, now for example temporal bone, we are viewing this from inside, but from outside if you see in the last diagram, squamous part, petrous part, I'm not going in details of all those. So this is that. Now what is this transverse sinus? I was talking about DVS, that is duravenous sinuses. Now duravenous sinuses, as I already told you, that dura matter म्हणजे they are within the dura matter, they have the venous blood, and they go and pour their blood into the venous system. And sinus means what? One way connection. One way connection means what? Cavity is there, it is having blood here, it is having blood, dura venous sinus, and it is pouring into the venous system. Single system, simple, one way. But the flow of the blood in these venuses, DVS, is bidirectional. It flows in both the direction in the dura venuses. So there is a video already on the channel, you can go through it. Now seeing for the next diagram, I hope you have understood the applied aspect of this diagram. Next diagram is the cross section which I wanted to show you, or the transverse section you can say, which is very important. And if you understand this, you've understood most of the things. Okay, so okay, now first I will give you the ऊपर wala orientation, then we will go in detail. So this is the cranial cavity, this is one half of the cranial cavity, this will be the another half of the cranial cavity. This is cut from middle, and the important structures, what you know, this is the foramen magnum. And so as we were seeing, I was telling you about the ethmoid bone. Can you see this? This is the, see, this is the ethmoid bone, where this gray colored, so this is one half, this is second half. So yeah, it's a jada. It's like a wall, thickening of the wall. You cannot see the whole wall. Why? Because it's a transverse section. ये ऐसा नीचे perpendicular है in the nose. I hope you got the orientation as compared to the last diagram. And one more important thing, what you know, this is the sphenoid bone. See, best orientation of the sphenoid bone you get from inside. Okay, why sphenoid bone? The sphenoid. Just one second. See, sphenoid bone. It is called as uh, the butterfly shaped bone. Butterfly shaped bone. So this is the sphenoid bone. Okay, butterfly shaped bone. So it looks like the butterfly. See, upper wing, lower wing, aisa. But the names of the wings are different. Here, this if you see this, I will show you. See, last time we had made a mistake. This time I will not. See, this is the greater wing. Hmm? And because see, this is a 2D view. ये नीचे इधर, this is the lesser wing. I'm just sorry, one second. See, this is the lesser wing. Okay, this is the lesser wing, and this is the body of the sphenoid. Now, can you see there is a fossa here? There is a fossa here. Now, I will go in the details. See this. I think I will zoom and go into the details. See, this is the fossa. You can see the handwriting. See, Sella Turcica, they have written here. It is made up of four parts: tuberculum cellae, hypophyseal fossa, dorsum cellae, and posterior clinoid process. They all form what? This Sella Turcica, in which the pituitary gland. Hypophyseal fossa is pituitary fossa. Hypophysis cerebri is pituitary. Epiphysis cerebri is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus lies above the, see, this is the pituitary gland, and here upper is the hypothalamus. So it is epi is above, epiphysis cerebri, and this is hypophysis cerebri, which lies in what? Sella turcica cavity, that is hypophyseal fossa of the sella turcica cavity. Now we will go in detail. Just one second. I want to discuss some other point, that is this one. So if you see, I told you about this ethmoid bone. This is the frontal bone, as you all know, and this is the sphenoid bone, and this is the occipital bone, right? And in the occipital bone, the biggest foramen, that is the khadda, that is the ched, that is the foramen magnum. What exits through the foramen magnum is an important question, and most of us make a big blunder in this. I had discussed this last time also. Again, I say it is not the spinal cord which exits the foramen magnum of the cranial cavity. It is the brain stem which exits, more specifically, the medulla oblongata of the brain stem exits from the cranial cavity. Okay, don't make this blunder ever in your exam, MCQ, wherever. And now this cranial cavity, now I will tell you what is the actual view. I just started with all of this. See, this person is, imagine that a person, you are standing behind a person. See, one person is standing here, and he is looking in front. You are standing behind him. Okay, you are looking like this. What you did, you cut his brain like this, cranial cavity, and you removed this cap. You removed this cap, and now you are viewing this from behind, like this. So this becomes the anterior, this becomes the posterior, this is the left, this is the right. Why? Because you are standing behind. So uska left is your left, uska right is your right. And so how you remove the cap? Like this, you have removed the cap, skull cap, that is the calvaria. This skull cap you have removed, and you are seeing like this inside this skull. I hope you have got this orientation. This is anterior, this is posterior, right? And this is the frontal bone, this is the occipital bone, this is the foramen magnum, this is the sphenoid bone, and this is the ethmoid bone, perpendicular wall like bone, and this is the butterfly shape uh, bone, that is the sphenoid bone. Now, one important thing you need to recall or understand is this cranial cavity is divided into three parts. This is the cranial fossa. Fossa is the, you can say, the depression type, like, okay, depression. So this fossa, it is divided into three halves: anterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa, posterior cranial fossa. Anterior cranial fossa, it comprises of the frontal bone, ethmoid bone, and some part of the, yes, correct, sphenoid bone. And middle cranial fossa is completely about the, it is about the middle, the sphenoid bone, especially the sella turcica part and the body of the sphenoid bone. And the posterior half is all about the occipital bone, what you can see here. So anterior cranial fossa, middle cranial fossa, posterior cranial fossa, it is very important to distinguish these, because without these are the landmarks. Okay, which lobe of the brain is present in the middle cranial fossa, which one is present in the anterior cranial fossa. This way you can make it. And one more important thing is that, I which I wanted to discuss. See, just clear your, one second, just clear your concept. Okay, clear your concept. We will go step by step. Okay, from this direction to posterior to anterior we will go. Okay, pay attention. See, I told you this is what, hypophyseal fossa. Okay, then on the dorsal side, dorsal means what? Dorsum means behind. Okay, ventral means in front. Your face is the ventral part of your body, and your back of the head is the dorsal part of your body. So what is written here? It is the dorsum sellae. Okay, dorsum sellae and tuberculum sellae. Tuberculum sellae is where, if you trace this arrow, it is here. So in front of this fossa depression, this part is the tuberculum sellae, and behind this part is the, it is the dorsum sellae. This, okay, behind part of this fossa. Hmm? Then posterior clinoid process is this, and whatever. I'm not going in details, but this is the, and now you can recall. Okay, first we will go one by one. So this is it, and see this. Clear your concept about greater and lesser wing. Last time we made a mistake. See this lesser wing, this greater wing. Follow the arrow, you will understand. See this lesser wing, this is the greater wing. Now this is the lesser wing, and this is the greater wing. Are you able to make it? Once again I will draw. See, lesser wing upper anterior clinoid process. This is the lesser wing. Okay, now I'll use red color. This is the greater wing. Can you see this, like this? Okay, this is the greater wing. Between these two wings, lesser and the greater, there is a hole. You can see this white part, that is called as, correct? Can anyone tell me? Actually, there's another diagram for this. This is the superior orbital fissure. This is like this in shape. I am sorry, I will draw it again. On both the sides. This is left side what we are watching. This is left side. Hmm? So if you see this, this is about the sphenoid bone what I wanted to share. There are, see, so many foramina, this foramen, this foramen. So there is another diagram, next diagram is there, and in that we will discuss. Okay, so if you see this part, this is the cribriform plate. Are you understanding? And this is the glabella, this is the glabella, this part. Okay, can you see these dots? Can you see these dots? These dots are the holes. Huh? They are the holes. And see, it is written here. Cribriform plate. Cribriform plate. Cribriform plate in the ethmoid bone. So they give olfactory. Means what? Just below this is what? The nasal cavity. I hope you understand. What is happening now? If you stand, this is, suppose this is your first floor. This is your second floor. So floor of the second floor is the roof of the first floor. Roof of the first floor, right? This is the floor of second floor, and this is the roof of first floor. Right now cranial cavity is the second floor for you, right? Here is the cribriform plate, and from this you are going to view below, that is in the nasal cavity. From cranial cavity to nasal cavity you can watch the program through cribriform plate. Understood the concept? Very easy. Now, okay, this was about uh, the diagram. Okay, see, here it is given. This is the temporal bone, squamous part, petrous part. See, this is the squamous part, and here from the outside you can see petrous part, groove for lesser petrosal nerve, groove for greater petrosal nerve. All these are the details. You, once you are oriented, you can easily make it and understand it. See, it's a mastoid angle, mastoid process. They're given the uh, details of the this part. Okay, one more important thing is, see this basilar part they have mentioned here. Basilar part. This basilar part, if you trace the arrow, it goes straight here. This part, just below or just behind the pituitary fossa, or you can say sphenoid bone. So here there is actually basilar venous plexus. Basilar venous plexus, that is why it is the basilar part. Hmm? From this name basilar part, basilar plexus name has come, which you learn again in DVS, that is durovenous sinuses. Now we will see another diagram. uh, just one second. Yeah, one second. Okay, first I will show you the diagram from outside. So can you see this? I'm not going in details of this diagram because you have already understood. See this is anterior, this is posterior. Okay, you have taken the person. See, person is standing in front of you. He is looking towards you. You are looking towards him. What you do? You take off your hand, hold his neck, pull it behind, pull it behind, and then see it from above. Then you will see this kind of picture. Then you will see this kind of picture. And here you see this is the palatine bone, posterior part of the palate. This forms the hard palate. I had told you this experiment last time also. There are two palates, hard palate and soft palate. Hard palate is made up of the bone, and soft palate is made up of smooth muscles, not smooth muscles. Why it is no, it is made up of muscles, not smooth muscles. I'm not sure. Mostly smooth muscles. This hard palate is made up of this palatine bone, and soft palate. The soft palate is made up of the muscles which are behind. So what you do? You put your finger inside your mouth and put it I mean along the palate, upper palate. You trace it till behind. At some point you will feel the soft part, and in the anterior aspect you will feel the hard part. So that is the hard palate. It is actually the initial part is of the maxillary bone, and at the junction where hard palate soft palate meet, or where there is a continuation of the soft palate from the hard palate, this is soft palate behind, and the posterior part is the hard palate. This is foramen magnum. I have already told the importance. This is the styloid process. We have already discussed. See what they have written here. Styloid process. Just one second. Styloid process. Okay, I'm not going in the details of the temporal bone and occipital bone and the sphenoid bone. And one more thing which I was telling you. See, one second. See, this is the sphenoid bone, yellow color, right? Now in this sphenoid bone, can you see this medial plate, lateral plate? These are pterygoid plates. If you trace them, see where it is lateral plate. This is the lateral plate. This is the medial plate. By mistake, in the beginning of the lecture, when I was giving the example, I said they are of the maxillary bone. They are of the sphenoid bone, not of the maxillary bone. Sorry. So this is the sphenoid bone, and sphenoid bone के दो plates हैं. Pterygoid name, named pterygoid because pterygoid fossa is this is the pterygoid fossa, and medial pterygoid plate, lateral pterygoid plate. So lateral to this lateral pterygoid muscle, medial to the lateral pterygoid plate is the medial pterygoid muscle. This is the concept. There are again small foramina. See, this is a foramen. What is the name? Greater palatine foramen. Greater palatine foramen. So greater palatine foramen, it gives when you learn about nasal septum, you see the arterial supply. At the time, you see the palatine artery is a branch of the. I think it's the branch of maxillary. I don't recall. So it comes from this part. Okay. So I mean, so many points are there, and this is how it goes. And the important diagram about the contents. I think we will